show up. And then we'll be talking about Google APIs. So if you're a developer or if you're a small business interested in building on Google's platforms or products, this would be an excellent venue in which to ask questions. It's going to be a whole panel thing. And if you have questions outside that realm, feel free to ask those too, because we are experts on many different fields. For example, Mr. DeBona here is an expert on pencil manufacture.
It's true. A lot of people don't really understand the importance of a good, hard wood when combined with the graphite core of a lead pencil. Mechanical pencils, too. You don't want less than 0.2 millimeters.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It just snaps all the time.
It'd be a horrible mistake. Yes? Well, this is broadly known within the Arabic community. Very pencil-oriented people.
That paper came from here.
Yes.
Ish.
Here-ish.
Papyrus.
Papyrus.
That's how you say it, right?
That's how you say it. Okay.
That is how I say it.
Look at it. We have things.
We haven't gotten the go from the go person, and we're missing one of our
He looked at us and he walked out. So
Really?
that means go, right?
No, we need our dear friend
Sebastian?
Patricia.
Oh, Patricia.
She's the timekeeper.
Patricia tells us when to start.
Yes.
Well, we should start anyways. Anyway, so hi everyone. Who else is on this panel? Just you and me?
It's just you, me, and Pa.
Paul's going to be here? Okay, great.
And Nicholas. Pa, where's Nicholas?
He's going to
Pa is going to get Nicholas and get Patricia.
So why don't you bring up the API
Maybe
list?
some more people.
Let's talk about all the powerful APIs.
All right. So, well, before we get to the list, I just want to show you all the landing page. This is code.google.com. If you're a developer or small business and you're wondering what's available for you to build upon, this is a great starting place. Code.google.com is where we display all
Can
of
you
our...
do full screen?
You know,
You have all this junk that they don't need to see. There you go. Isn't that better?
oh, that is better. And look, I got little scrolly scrolls. So, anyway, this is a great place to land. You've got sort of news, and you also got this really cool thing on the left here, featured products. Here's a quick list of some of our most oft-used APIs. But you can click down here on more products, and you get a full list of all our APIs.
And there's way more than you might imagine.
There's just, look at how long this is.
It goes on forever.
I'm just going to keep scrolling at a tranquil pace.
Yeah, so can you tell us how someone can learn all these in an efficient way?
You would like to learn each and every one of these APIs in an efficient way.
So the one I would start with, actually, if you want to be Mr. Future, is PubSub. I think that's really important. I think this is probably the most important thing to happen in protocols in the last couple of years.
PubSub is super, super important. Do you know about PubSub?
Why don't you tell them about PubSub?
I give a talk on PubSub. I'm a huge fan. Where's my phone?
I don't know. Do I look like somebody who keeps your phone for you?
Well, you should. Maybe I needed it. So PubSub is all about the real-time web. It enables you to deliver things in real time, things that you would syndicate previously by getting the feed on a polling algorithm. You'd ask every once in a while, hey, do you have new data? Hey, do you have new data? With PubSub, it enables you to get the data delivered directly to you in real time as it happens. For example, the Google Buzz Firehose. You're familiar with Google Buzz. Every public activity on Buzz gets pushed out to this Firehose in real time. So that's hundreds upon hundreds per second. And you can subscribe to that via PubSub. So if you have a service online, you can get all of those activities from the Firehose as they happen from anywhere in the world. It's really exciting. So it works at huge scale, but it also works at small scale too. So like personal blogs could be PubSub enabled. So if they have aggregators, those aggregators could get that content as it's published instead of on a delay.
Another one of my favorite APIs on this list that I'm seeing here is the Safe Browsing API. So if you want to protect your users, if you're running a corporate network, you can set up your system to check against this, and it will keep people from going to sites that we know have malware on them. It's not about pornography so much as it's about every site that has really bad content that can infect your PC. So it's actually extremely useful and can reduce the amount of trouble that your users can get into.
Mm-hmm. So by way of answering your question, I think what we've sort of done here is said the best way to learn these APIs is to start somewhere. Pick something that you like that you can implement.
That matters to you.
That matters to you. That
charting tools are so cool too. There's so many cool
just
APIs.
Let me finish answering the question first. You find something that you like. And you got to start with that right away, right? I mean, computer science is a science all about experimentation. Hey, I wonder if I could do this. That would be really cool. And then just go out and try and do it. A lot of these APIs work very, very similarly, and they are based on many of the same open standards and specifications. So for example, OAuth. Once you've implemented OAuth once, you can do it for a lot of the other APIs that also use OAuth, right? Because you already know that protocol. So by understanding these building blocks, you can then learn a new API a lot faster. So don't worry about learning all of them right now. Just learn one you can use, and then do another. Right? Yeah.
We're very internet-oriented.
We are an internet company.
But one thing I would consider doing first, if I were interested in enabling offline use of web pages, is look into HTML5's local storage stuff, which initially was called Google Gears, and then we managed to get that into the standard. Sort of. It changed a bit to get into the standard. It's likely not on this page, but that's something I would look into first if you're looking to offline things. So, I'm sorry? Sort of, yeah. Yeah. Sort of.
Really?
Well, you can do Ajax offline if you have local storage of those pages.
Oh, okay.
Right? So,
I can see that.
you know.
Like internet application, internet stores something inside the internet files. And normal internet. And cache to the server.
Yeah. So by using something like local storage, you get the ability to sort of load a web page. Like, for example, Gmail does this, right? If you have opened up Gmail on your mobile device and you're looking at some mail and then you lose connection, sometimes you can still like go back and read a different message because it's downloaded and stored it locally.
Yeah, inside the firewall, we found that probably our most popular product was Google Web Toolkit, which allows people to basically use Java to create really exciting web interfaces for their internet. So when we first launched Quid about 3.5 years ago, we were actually shocked at how many people were using it just behind firewalls. We expected to see more just in the public web, but it was incredibly popular inside companies that had actually invested a fair amount of money in creating Swing and AWT applications, and they could instantly convert those, well, nearly instantly convert those to GWT, and then produce them on their servers and reduce their client load, which was really pretty nice. You know, so that's something I would look into if I were running a company. So.
Let's pause just for a moment. I'm going to introduce us. Hi, I'm Timothy Jordan. I'm a developer advocate for Google, which means I speak to developers about our APIs all the time. So this is what I do all the time. And I focus a lot on the social web stuff and Google Buzz, but I can address some of the other products as well.
My name is Chris DeBona. I run open source for the company, which includes some of this developer advocacy stuff. And yeah.
My name is Pak Wisi, and I work with Google partnerships. So I work with external companies as some sort of consultant for them.
Hello, my name is Nicholas, and I am part of the calendar team and also the developer relations team. So I also speak, at certain events like this one, obviously, and some support. I developed the client libraries for Google Calendar, the new version that's coming up soon, and yeah, that's it. Google Calendar, Google Apps in general.
Cool. So that said, I mean, we wanted to introduce this website and answer your questions. So we're just going to go the rest of the time as a panel discussion. So let's just get some more questions.
You guys want to sit or chill out?
Yeah.
Can I get the search results that people get when they search on Google using XML?
Question is, can I get search results like when people search on Google via XML? I don't know if we have a search API like that.
Wait, what's the question? We can get the search results as XML?
Yeah.
So we have the local search API. But that's more for web pages. We used to have a SOAP API for approaching search, but we don't do that anymore. If you're a researcher, literally in a university, and want higher capacity access to the search API, which you can access via JavaScript or via pretty much any RPC that you want to go for, then we can do that, but we don't actually have an XML approach to search right now.
So like I need to make a special request for this service?
Yeah, and we only will grant it to qualified researchers.
So this is to avoid like having everyone?
Yeah, so what we saw when we had the old SOAP API is the only people who used it were researchers, which we liked, and search engine optimizers who were trying to game Google, which was not as likable. So, we stopped offering it. So, yeah, the JSON one. Can you show the JSON one? It's the Google Search API. Yeah.
The JSON?
The Ajax Search API. Yeah. It should be right in front of you, right? Image search, news search, pattern search, custom search API. There
Oh,
you go.
custom search API.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's for CSEs, right? But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to add Google search to your site and one that's specific to your site. So there you
So
go.
this isn't if you're searching, right, the whole web. This is if somebody's searching your website,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause you can drop in a Google-powered search to your website. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, he was talking about like something.
So JSON is a different encapsulation format. XML is often based on Atom or whatever, but it's like basic markup. JSON is JavaScript object notation, and that's a JavaScript object that gets delivered to you that you can kind of, if you're using JavaScript, it's much easier to parse, right? You can just consume it into JavaScript and access it like an object. And a lot of other languages have been using that as well instead of XML.
So there's something like JSON API.
So you cannot get Google search results delivered XML or JSON or anything unless you are a qualified researcher at a university. But you can get custom search results on your domain, your website.
Do you have an existing business or something that?
Bottle of water.
So, I'm researching something, so I'm a student at the university.
Okay.
I have a business, but I'm researching something, and I want, like, I try to like develop a workaround on getting XML by parsing HTML. So
Okay.
I thought,
That's probably bordering on.
Yeah, you might run into some,
We end up blocking a lot of people. Doing
Yeah.
that, so.
yeah.
like, I have like no choice
Well,
Well,
unless I get the.
You create your own crawl.
yeah?
Actually, creating your own crawl isn't that hard for specialized research.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you should look into, there's a number of Python crawlers out there that you can target very specifically to your research topic, and it's actually really fun, so it's worth trying out. And it doesn't take very long, way less time than you might. And honestly, the internet's not that big, a couple of hard drives, you'll be fine.
Just fill them with links. Yeah.
What about some services inside some APIs which are disconnected from latest versions? Do I have access to them in old versions still, or they are disconnected completely?
I'm not sure what you're
Like,
asking.
inside Google AdWords API, there's a service in previous versions which called keyword tools via the API, but they said, the guy there told me it's disconnected from latest version. Do I still have an access to it?
Is it still around?
Previous version?
Yeah, so it depends. So again, the specific question was there's a AdWords API, and it has a particular service, like a SOAP-enabled service, that has been disabled in the latest version, right? So in version 12, it's still there, but version 12 will be deprecated at some point. So, yeah,
So you can use it for now,
yeah, you can use it
but
for
you
now.
wouldn't necessarily want to build a future on it.
Yeah, we're fading that out.
Yeah. Another solution, I don't want to be disconnected after, let's say, 1 year.
Well, Google will always tell you, like, it'll give you sufficient notice that we will discontinue this, and you may use this other method or not. So you will have enough notice to make a decision. Yeah.
Yeah, for many of our APIs, we have this 3-year deprecation policy. So we're going to maintain the old version, even if we develop a new version. We're going to maintain the old version working as it is during 3 years. And the day we announce, we're going to do an announcement, for example, this API version 2 is going to be deprecated in 3 years. So,
You may want to tell me you have to use something else.
well, usually it's like, yeah, usually a new version. Yeah.
So there have been a couple cases where we've discontinued a product for one reason or another. And so we decided that 3 years was a long enough warning, so you can either find another provider or accommodate it in some fashion. And it's one of those things where the nice thing about web development for a company like Google and for your companies is that you're not bound to old interfaces for too long. You can keep on changing things and keep on moving forward. And even 3 years feels like a really long time when you're iterating
long
a
time,
product. So, we're trying to find middle ground. Usually what we do, though, almost like 99% of the cases, what we're doing is we're changing how we're offering something to you. We're not actually just discontinuing a service. So that happens. It's funny because, the Google Search API, the SOAP API, I think we deprecated it after 6 years. I mean, it's like we really keep them going for a long time. And then we shut them off. So, yeah.
But,
And it's not
question-
always great for the user, but, you try to do as much as you can.
Got a question back here, and then we'll come back over here. Yes?
Okay, well, in the past 3 days, we haven't talked completely about Google Wave. And it's a very exciting product, and we would like to hear more about that and maybe possible applications for that within organizations, and how can we use that, build on top of that. It's very exciting, so we haven't touched on that completely. Can you just give us your thoughts?
So with Google Wave, there have been some changes in Google's approach to Wave, and it's not, how did we mess? We're not doing Google Wave anymore.
Yeah, we shut it down.
We shut it down, or we're in the process of shutting it down. But
we're
you
sunsetting Google Wave, and what we've done to accommodate our users, unfortunately, there weren't very many of you. So we've created what's called Wave in a Box that you can download and run inside your organization if you really like what Wave does. And we're also moving the project over to the Apache Foundation so that those developers who are interested in continuing Wave as a concept can continue to do so. But we didn't see enough consumer adoption to continue doing Wave. So.
One of the things that's come out of Wave that a lot of people are using is the Wave protocol. And the protocol is really exciting, and it was actually my favorite part of Wave since the beginning. And a lot of people are using that in other products outside of Wave, the client. So as Chris had said, those are things that you want to look into are, Wave in a Box and the Wave as part of the Apache Foundation, and perhaps the Wave protocol. And I think Wave is certainly going to live on outside of Google in one way or another. But it's people like you that need to find that and keep it alive. Yes. Oh, I promised you, and then we'll go over there. Yes.
Can you show us some interesting API live?
Some interesting API live? Sure.
What did you choose?
I can choose from a billion things, but of course, I'm going to use Google Buzz. Except this isn't my account. Do you have Reader? Can I open up your Reader? How do
That's not embarrassing, is it?
Because if it is, that'd be great. So you may be familiar with the Google Buzz API. One of the cool things that we have on the Google Buzz API, I'm just going to go to Docs here and go to using REST. And we've got a list of sort of all our features. And there's this really cool thing that we have called track. And you'll see here I've got sort of this base URL. It's a RESTful API, which means it's all about HTTP. And this base URL, googleapis.com/buzz/v1, and we add other things to it. What you add here is activities, so I can get activities. And then this is the API itself, track. Track, I put a query in there, and it essentially gives me back. I'll show you. Let's use this. And we'll do coffee. How do I make a plus? What's wrong with your keyboard? Shift. Oh, this is shift right here.
Doesn't typically use Mac.
No, this is a different keyboard layout. It's all British and stuff. So coffee or tea, right? And this is going to give me, let's do, so this is giving me some XML output back. That's essentially giving me a PubSub Hubbub link. This is a PubSub Hubbub enabled real-time feed on the Google Buzz Firehose that will give me every post in real time about coffee or tea. What I can do with this is some fancy stuff or something as simple as putting it into Google Reader. So I'll add a little subscription here, paste it in. And I'm just going to leave this up, and you'll find as people around the world talk about coffee or tea, it's just going to add to Google Reader. Isn't that cool? All right, so implementing something on an API, of course, I knew that, and I can just copy and paste it. But a lot of these APIs, you don't have to build infrastructure to like be able to use them. A lot of them you can use them in interesting ways, like just putting them in the web browser URL and getting output, or using something like Google Reader, which is pub/sub/hubbub enabled. It receives pub/sub/hubbub pings. Or we have things like OA curl, which allow you to do OAuth authenticated RESTful sessions on the command line. That's pretty cool, huh? Did you like that?
That was awesome. Refresh.
Yeah, a lot of the Buzz using world is asleep, so it might take a few minutes.
Or,
I just found a lot of people in America talk about coffee.
Really?
Yeah, on Buzz.
oh,
Anyway, so we'll refresh this over time. There was a question there, yes.
Are there any plans to make an API for Google Books? Whether, I mean, it's the actual bookstore itself or features like bestsellers, categories, and whatnot?
So for those of you that don't know, we've got Google Books and we've got that other thing that came out.
Google Editions.
Yeah, Google Editions, and we've got some really cool stuff in that area that you should totally check out. As far as an API, I'm going to have to put that under the category of not commenting on potential future releases. Which pretty much means I don't know. Other questions? Yes?
Does any of your APIs require keys?
Do any of our APIs require keys? So we recently released the developer console, and some of our APIs, if you add a key to that, you get all sorts of really cool API tracking, which by saying, I mean to say, yes, they do require keys, but you get other cool stuff with that, right? You get the tracking, you get to know how your API usage is being performed, on what pages are getting the most calls, that sort of thing. And that's on some APIs, but it's API specific. So you'll find some of them, what they'll do is that they'll, if you don't use a key, you can only go up to so many queries per day, right? And so you can test out and you can develop without worrying about the key, but then if you start using it in production, you're gonna want the key anyway, and you'll need the key to go above a certain level. And then there's different APIs operate differently, right? Like Maps just removed the need for a key, so you don't even need a key if you're gonna do Google Maps.
So what's the need like a key for each? Is there any global key for all APIs?
For some of them, it can be similar, right? Like again, the console ones, I believe that key you can use for a couple different APIs, but it's just really API specific. So you need to, the great thing about code.google.com is you can get to that list, find the API that you want, and then there's going to be documentation that'll tell you all about that.
That's the developer console.
Oh yeah, the developer console.
Question from this lady here.
Hi. Do you plan to make a SEO API, or it's against policies? Or
A what API?
SEO. SEO, search engine
Well, there's
optimization.
Webmaster tools,
Yeah, the webmaster console is very important.
and have you? Peter keeps going to sleep. Have you been to Webmaster Central?
Somehow, but not analytics. And
So Webmaster Central and Webmaster Tools are probably going to give you what you need to be able to detect if there's any problems with your website, and if there's anything that you can do to improve your website and therefore improve your SEO.
I'm thinking about if you put a URL, search keywords to try multiple options to see what ranking will be better for your site according to a specific keyword or something
Do you want to
like this.
Do you want to talk about insights? Because that's really helpful.
What about sites?
Insights.
Oh, insights. I have no clue how that works.
So there's a tool called Google Insights, and that basically allows you to see what's going on about a particular set of keywords or URLs.
Very useful.
It's amazing. You should try it out. But on the other hand, the most important tool really that you want to use as a webmaster is the Google Webmaster Console. That's what contains the definite list of things that Google is looking for in websites, right, in general. So once you start from there are links to other tools, this is exactly.
This is a great website because you got analytics,
Yeah.
and you've got sort of webmaster tools, and you've got some other stuff in here. Incoming, outgoing, yeah.
So this is where we would tell you exactly what we have about your site in the Google Index, right? So we tell you how many pages we've got, what are the common keywords that people use to find your site, and so on. So you should be very familiar with this particular tool.
there any is there any limitation on for the API, for example, not from a technical point of view, but from a business point of view? I mean, if I'm planning to use Google Translate API to translate, for example, my content. So is there a limitation that, okay, maximum you can have 10,000 hits per day from this?
So most of the APIs will limit you in one way or another at some point. Not all of them. And it's, again, API specific. If you're going to use an API in business, what you want to do is land on that documentation page and see what the limits are, if there are any, and what you can do to get the limit raised, right? And also, you want to check out the terms of service for each of those APIs, because that's another sort of business limitation. There's some APIs you can use in some ways, but not in others. So if you're going to use an API in business, just visit the documentation site on code.google.com, look for those limits, and also look for the terms of service, and that'll give you all the information you need to know.
Yeah, and about, so they're not always published, those limits. We don't always want people to try to go to the limit, but so if you're reaching it, for example, if you're seeing, out of quota errors back, try to send an email to the support, to Google support. For example, if you're an apps customer and you're doing migrations, you want to send an email to the apps support. And usually we can raise that limit for you, if you have a good reason to go over the limits. There are good reasons sometimes. So if you're reaching if you're using all your quota, send an email to us and we'll evaluate the situation and we can raise on a per account basis your quota, for example.
Do you charge for it?
No.
For that email? No. But there are.
If you want to give me money, I'll take it. But
there are APIs that you charge.
Yes.
Oh.
There are APIs that you can get a business account for and business access that will charge.
Yeah, for instance, Maps is really designed for external-facing sites. If you want to have an internal-only facing site, I think we charge for that.
Yes.
Little changes like that.
Which one's next? This guy right here, and then over there? Sure. Okay. Yes.
So are there any, there's the Translate API, which is kind of an area of linguistics. But other than that, are there APIs that can do, for example, word expansion or stemming that can help me with my own search within my own site?
So the CSE is going to be probably your best choice, pretty much your only choice for helping you search on your site, outside of buying something like the search appliance. But if you're really interested in doing your own stemmer against your site, I would look into Martin Porter's work. I think it's in University of Cambridge, Brixton, or something like that. Yeah, so you could actually implement your own crawler that way. But that's a lot of work, so you should, yeah.
But using the CSE allows you to basically take advantage of those stemming and rewriting algorithms. And there is an API, so you can access CSEs. You can get XML output, or I think XML output is what I'm sure about. But pretty much you can theme it, look at make it look whatever you like, and Google will do all the rewriting and stemming for you, in whatever language.
Yes.
Regarding those APIs that have the labs between brackets, should we? How should I treat them?
That's an excellent question.
Can I use those for production? Should I wait? Sometimes people love them, and sometimes people love them. To remove them.
Well, I think, for example, the 3-year deprecation policy, that only applies to non-labs APIs. So the labs APIs, they're like the, kind of Google Wave, they can disappear.
So
basically,
yeah,
not always,
labs
they can.
are APIs that we are working on. And
change fast.
They can change fast. So, for example, the Buzz API is in labs, and what I tell people that are starting to build upon that is that it's not like it's just going to change tomorrow without you noticing. But we might add features tomorrow, right? But if we're going to change anything, we'll let you know. If you're going to develop upon a Labs API, it just means you can't build your application and forget about it. You have to keep up to date with the changes, be on the mailing list, and when there are announcements, just make sure that you know what they are. And the great thing about Labs is that they are nimble and they respond to requests a lot. So if there's something you really need an API to do, when it's in Labs, there's a better chance it will be able to be like, okay, well, let's build that for you.
Yeah. Basically, the non-Labs API, they cannot break backward compatibility, things like this. So if there are interesting changes, that would break backward compatibility, they're not going to do it. They're going to wait until a new version is released, which they have, and they have to support the last version 3 years. So it moves more slowly, but it's more stable. Labs API, you might, it might break your website at some point. It might. We try to be careful, but if there's interesting changes, they might just like go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Yes.
Next question.
Yes.
Anybody have a new idea? Can Google take this idea and build the API for it?
So we actually, I did it today. We actually have a web form. If you do Google submit idea, so you can submit an idea to Google. There you go. That's the form over there. And yeah, so you can tell us what kind of idea it is, and then if it sounds sufficiently interesting, we'll probably get back to you.
Another way you have abilities to do this. Can you do this and share this?
Or like a feature request?
No, as a programmer, you
revenue sharing.
Build this and use your powerful servers, systems, be hosted.
So, are you asking, can you make a cool idea and build it on Google infrastructure?
Yes.
The answer is yes. There's this great product called Google App Engine that actually allows you to build in the cloud on Google infrastructure. And a lot of the APIs, for example, like the Mail API on App Engine, is using how we send mail internally. So that's a great way to leverage Google's stunning infrastructure to build your application. All right, so Chris and I actually have to get to another appointment, but Pa and Nicholas are going to be here. Another 10 minutes. We'll see you about. Thank you so much.
So yeah, we have 10 more minutes, and it's going to be only the two of us left. Yes. Well, who goes first? You're closer. No. Yeah. Well. Whatever. He's going to go ahead.
Yeah. What exactly is the difference between the internet and the cloud?
Not much.
So why did they coin the term cloud?
Yeah. No, we call the cloud more. You have a good definition, or?
So think of it this way, right?
Application services.
Yeah.
More like services that are completely online. Whereas the web can be just static pages, that you can read. The cloud is really going to be offering services that used to be, for example, client apps, online, completely hosted, with your data hosted. So it's applications more.
You saw the demo with the voice recognition and things like that, right? It will be hard to do it on the phone itself, but because the cloud exists, right? You basically speak into your phone, and then the data is sent to Google and comes back to your phone, right? To somebody using it, they think, oh, my phone is amazing, but it's because there's Google at the end, right? So I don't know if you've seen, some computers have, my other computer is a Google data center, right? So you're basically using, it might be Google or Yahoo or Microsoft, right? There's a service provider whose services you can access through your own client, and therefore basically your computing power is enlarged. Yeah.
Next, there was another person. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Well, yesterday we tried the code lab, and we wanted to build an application over the App Engine API. And I was wondering about something about support for standard APIs like Java Enterprise Edition and these basic APIs that we usually use to build applications.
So J2E, for example. So actually, Java App Engine Java is kind of J2E compatible, kind of. The only part that changes right now is more like the database part. The public edition of App Engine doesn't have SQL support. It's our own, database system, which is way more scalable. And you have to code a bit differently. There are reasons why. And why you have to code differently, why the tables are more flat, because it's more scalable this way. It can handle almost any load. Here's, basically, Basically, they're pretty much G2E compatible. If besides the database part, you can almost take your app and put it on App Engine Java, and it's going to work.
Okay, I see. Well, basically, I cannot use stuff like EJBs and
EJBs, yeah,
and these things.
You can use those Spring, for example. Spring works pretty well. I never use Java beans like this. No.
I don't think it will run because it requires a container, and the container is not there.
Can the container run on a J2E, just like on a Tomcat, for example, or can you? Has to be a special server. So basically, yeah, what's going to run on Tomcat is pretty much going to run on. I mean.
But you should try.
Yeah, I think it's worth trying, and somebody should.
There's actually a list. So I'm not on the App Engine team. I don't know which website it is by heart. There's a list of like the frameworks that actually works really well on App Engine Java. So for example, Spring is pretty much fully supported now. There's still a few things that are like fancy stuff that are not that don't work yet. So you should check the website. You can search for it. And,
Thanks.
No problem.
You have 5 more minutes.
Can you show us the application engine?
App Engine. Well, it's more of a server. You really want to see a server? Wait.
Screenshots
Just an example, or? Well, it can be any website basically, but do you have a good one to?
I could show you something, I guess. So this is the dashboard if you logged in. This is the application we developed yesterday. You can check what's going on. I had a few spikes of traffic, and I can see how whether I am sort of using my quota. I'm not at all. I can see common errors, and then I can see the most frequently requested things. I can see the stuff that's in my data store. Actually, this is the dashboard on the back end, right?
What is about the IDE or the environment?
So the environment, unfortunately, I don't have a simple screenshot here, but basically, what you can do with it is you give your code to Google, and you forget about the rest of the other infrastructure required to serve it to your users, because we would take care of it.
Is it visual?
So do you mean? No. It's actually. Do you know what for example, Tomcat server is, or yeah? So App Engine is almost going to be like a Tomcat server. It's going to host your Java code and make it run. So basically, you just use Eclipse, for example, to develop. You have your code. You click a button. It's going to upload it to App Engine, and run it. Yeah, it's a hosting provider almost, kind of, with some slight differences.
It's a more sophisticated hosting provider, as in it takes care of uptime and things like that for you.
Okay, basically it is a hosting, and I will test my code in my computer and upload.
Yes. In the SDK, we provide a testing environment we can run on your own computer, just by almost a single click on the button if you have the Eclipse plugin.
In fact, a very cool functionality, I think, is the versions functionality. So you can upload multiple versions of your application, and we generate a unique URL for each one of them, and then you can pick the one that you want to be the default. So I'll make the latest one the default, right? So I think this is really cool.
You can develop and push a new version and still have the old one up and test.
What type of framework, like .NET?
Oh, we have Python and Java. Java almost compatible G2E with some things that are not supported, and Python, it's like our own Python with our own SDK.
It's amazing. You should try Python, actually. Yeah.
No, you should try Java.
So, one last question, maybe, before we head out?
You want to submit some project to the labs?
If you want to submit?
So, yeah, you do a project on the labs or something. Whatever.
On Google Labs, no, Google Labs is more going to be for Google product that we built. We call them labs because they are like in the development phase. They're not like fully, enterprise ready, basically. So it's more like products that Google have developed, and we call them labs. It's like kind of like the beta phase, if you want to. It's not like for external developers to publish their apps. It's just the Google internal APIs and products. Yes, you ask a lot of questions.
Visualization API.
Yes. A demo?
What is
You want a demo? Yeah, well, visualization API,
I can
You have
talk
a demo,
about it
actually?
and I'll try and show a demo. Yeah. So it's simply a way for you to show your data in pretty ways, right?
Why it is needed connectivity to connect to show this?
Because the charts are generated on the fly. So you request, it's an image. It gives you back an image URL, so you need to be online.
There are maybe JavaScript can generate this, like an object.
Yeah,
in
but usually the
JavaScript.
JavaScript files are going to be hosted on Google servers,
Yes.
and you call them. Probably you can scrap them and install them on your own server and host them on your own server if you want, if you would like to.
The same,
Except for what's server side, it would work. For what's generated server side, it would work.
because I know about the JavaScript library or something can generate the same graphs, the same thing, but without the need to have connectivity to the internet. So I can install this locally.
Yeah, I mean, there are good competitors which you can install in your own server. We just provide this one, which is easy to use because you don't even have to host the files. You just add this one, JavaScript line, like import the chart as chart JavaScript library, and then you just use it like this. Of course, there are many other options and many other good options.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.